Hey, Louisa. Sorry I missed you on Skype before. I was in another class meeting. I'm going to answer your question in video, and then we can figure out another time when we can meet and discuss any other problems that you have with the assignment. So as I understand it, you're having problems with the mapping activity in the Africa unit. And it's important to note, so like I'm on the course page right now. Hopefully you can see this on in front of you. It's important to note that there are two components to this activity. So you actually need to have this worksheet available to you right here that's under the hand holding the piece of paper assignment. So make sure that you open up this worksheet, and you could like either recreate it by hand in a notebook, or you can open up the Word document that I have attached at the bottom. So you will need to have opened up that activity. And then you will need this activity opened 1A, because that's where all of the maps are that you'll need in order to answer the questions on the worksheet. So essentially, I've given you some description of 3 different locations in Africa. And then you're going to have to draw some conclusions based on the multiple maps that you have been provided with in terms of those 3 locations in Africa. So if I go to the worksheet really quick, I want you to take note of the different features that you will be looking at. And you can see, like, from the first category that I've already given you the location. Now, I haven't necessarily said this is Nigeria or this location is in Zambia, but by me giving you the latitude and longitude, you should be able to go to the maps and figure out just from those coordinates alone the 3 countries that we are looking at. And if you can't see that, I will show you on a map shortly. So anyways, essentially I've given you the location. I want you to tell me about population density in each of the regions. Are there a lot of people living in the region, or is it sparsely populated? Then I want you to tell me about the climate of the region. Is it rainforest? Is it desert? Is it a more temperate climate? How is the land used? And this has a lot to do with economic activity. Is it a very urban environment? Is it a rural environment? And then you can start drawing conclusions about whether or not it's more industrial or more agricultural. What resources can be found in that location? What's the life expectancy? And by looking at life expectancy, you can draw some conclusions in terms of if people in the region live long life, then you can begin to understand that there's probably a high standard of living and good access to medicine and medical care. Whereas if the life expectancy were comparatively low, you might question the availability that people have to healthcare and medical resources. And then finally, you're looking at physical features. So essentially, in your document, you need to describe all of these features of these 3 locations in Africa. So I'm going to take you to the other map now. So let's say you don't know where 20 degrees north and 6 degrees west is. So if I take you to this map, I kind of plotted a red dot for you already in terms of where that's located in Africa. So what I did to find this, I looked at where the equator is, and then I already immediately know that 20 degrees north is in this part of Africa, north of the equator, but I can even see the line of latitude over here, and I can know that it's somewhere along this line of latitude. And then the other coordinate was 6 degrees west. So I know that that is west of the prime meridian, and this line right here is called the prime meridian. And that means that this point needs to be somewhere over here in this part of Africa. I don't know if you know what country this is in particular, but you could go to the course page map. Like if I take you back here outside of this activity, you can go to the map on the, sorry, I got to get back there, on the course page, and you can see then it's this country right here, which is called Mali. Okay, but I'm going to take us back into that map activity really quickly, just so we can get back to those maps that we need. So that's the first one, 20 north, 6 degrees west. That is in Mali. And if you wanted to write a note for yourself, you could type in the name of the country there. Okay, and then you need to find the next location. So the next one is 30 degrees south. So this time it's south of the equator. So your mind should already go into the fact that this is in southern Africa. And then it's 29 degrees east of the prime meridian. So we're talking about total opposite side of the continent. And so in fact, that is down here in this part of Africa. So again, here is the line of latitude, which is 20 degrees south. And then here is the prime meridian's all the way over here. So I've plotted a red dot at that location. So we're in and around a country called South Africa. So then you can go to your worksheet here. And again, you could do this in Word, or you can write it in a notebook, and you can write in South Africa. Okay. And then you're going to find the last location. And the last location is 28 degrees north. So again, we're north of the equator, and 31 degrees east. But this time we are east of the prime meridian. So if I go to the map, I've plotted a red dot at that location. And then in fact, we happen to be in this country, which is a very old settled country in Africa. The Nile River runs through it. Its capital city is Cairo. Can you guess the name of that country? I think you can. The country that this last location in is Egypt. Okay, so I'm going to type in Egypt right there. Now, this is where you have to go to the other maps in this activity in order to find some descriptors of those different features or qualities that I'm asking you to look for. So I'm going to go to page 2 of the activity. And this is where I have a map of population density. In fact, I had that same map down here where I put the red dots. Okay, so in location A, how would you describe the population density? Well, if you look at the key over here, and then if you know about the physical features of Africa, like in this region, this is called the Sahara Desert. So comparatively speaking, this region of Africa is not as populated as more temperate areas of Africa. So in terms of population density, you can look at the color here and match it to the key. It's between 0 and, it's around 0 persons per square mile, in fact. It's quite low. So it doesn't mean that no one lives there, so that 0 is a little bit misleading, but it means that any people who are inhabiting this region probably move from place to place and move so much that there's no heavy concentrated population at any one time. So for this area on our chart for population density, I'm going to put in a 0 persons per square mile, okay? And then we are going to our next location, which is in that location in Southern Africa. And you could see down here that the population is a little bit more dense. Now, you don't see any purple down here, which is the most densely populated regions of Africa. You'll see like purple around here by Lagos and Cairo. But in this region, I would say it's this kind of mid-range color orange. So it's anywhere between 130 and 259 persons per square mile. So that's what you put, 130 to 259 persons per square mile. Okay, and then I kind of already given you the answer for Egypt. Again, if we go back to the map here, you could see in this part of Egypt, it's in the purple range. So the population density here is over 520 persons per square mile. So we'll type that in, over 529 persons per square mile. So essentially I've done that section for you. I'm not going to do the same with the others, but I'll at least take you to the other maps so that you can see where I want you to go from here. So if we go to page 3 of the activity, on page 3, you can see that we have a map of the climate of Africa. So again, you have to think about where those 3 locations are, okay? And remember, the first one was up here in Mali. So take a look at this light pink color here, and then look at the key down here, and you'll find the climate is desert. Now, I'm not going to write it in. I'm going to let you take care of writing it in. And then go to that area in South Africa, which is down here, and you'll see it's this darker green color. So go to the key and figure out what the climate is for that darker green color, and then do the same thing with this part of Egypt. So again, going back up here, we see the climate is similar in Egypt to the climate in that part of Mali. So if I take you back to the worksheet, now again, I'm not going to type these answers in, but I've shown you how to get the answers. Give me a description of the climate in Mali, of the climate in South Africa, and the climate in Egypt. And then if we go back to the map activity and go to page 4, then we come to a map of Africa with economic activities. So if you take a look, again, same 3 locations. So take a look at this part of Mali up here, and then it looks like it's the color brown. And if we look at how the land is used in that part of Africa, you can see from the key that it's right here, and that's what you can write in as your descriptor in terms of how the land is used in that location. And then again, back to the map, and then we go down here to South Africa, and you can see that the land is colored green. So go over here to how the land is used and tell me what that lighter shade of green is representative of. And then do the same thing with this part of Africa. It's along the Nile River, this lighter shade of brown. Take a look at the key for how the land is used. And you take those words from the key to write them in as your descriptions on the chart in their appropriate category. And then do the same thing with resources. Now for resources, we don't even have to leave this map. We'll stay on the same map. Go to Mali. Do you see any of these symbols on the map in that region of Mali? Yes or no? If yes, then on the worksheet, write the names of the resources that you see in that region. If no, you can write the word none. And then do the same thing in South Africa. We see lots of resources down there, so figure out what those resources are. And then again, if you go up here into this part of Egypt, you can see very close to the region that we're looking at, you see a symbol here. So you can describe what that resource is in the chart. Okay, so now we have population density that we did together. I've taken you to the map on climate, land use, and resources. So you have enough information that you can fill in that part of the chart. And then if we go through to the next map, you essentially do the same thing with life expectancy. So this one I'm not going to walk you through. I'm going to let you try and figure out this one on your own. And then do the same thing with physical features, okay? And again, I'm not going to walk you through this one. I'm going to let you figure that one out on your own. But from those maps, fill in the chart. And then there are 5 questions at the bottom. And with those 5 questions, you're going to use the data that you put on the chart to answer them. So my first question is compare location A and B. So how are location A and B similar, and how are they different? Try to give me at least 2 similarities and 2 differences. Which location has the highest population density? Which location has the highest life expectancy? Which has the lowest? What are some factors that you think contribute to low population density in location A? Is it climate? Is it the physical features? I want you to draw those conclusions. And then from the maps, location B can be described as, well, I've already kind of told you where it is, so I'll leave that description up to you. I hope this helped.